Hi guys, welcome to another video. This is for Functional Skills Level 2, Past Paper 5. If you're part of my class, you can find these practice papers in Google Classroom. If you're not part of my class, you can download them from the link in the description below. As always, if you find these videos useful, don't forget to press the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and do spread the word about my channel. I do appreciate all your feedback and all your support. This is Section A, Non-Calculator. Let's jump straight into it. Question 1. Gareth sells hot drinks. He sells cups of tea, cups of coffee and cups of hot chocolate. Of all the hot drinks he sold last week, 2/5 were cups of tea, 1/3 were cups of coffee. What fraction of all cups of hot drinks sold were cups of hot chocolate? For 3 marks. So whenever you get a question like this, obviously we don't have a total, so we only have the fractions of tea, coffee, and they're talking about hot chocolate as well. Okay, so we know that tea is 2/5, coffee is 1/3, hot chocolate we don't know, but we do know that they all add up to one whole because it's either tea, coffee and hot chocolate, can't be anything else. So what we can do is we can work out the total of the tea and the coffee, can't we? So we can work out 2/5 plus 1/3, but when you add these two together without the calculator, you're gonna have to get a common denominator. So I would change them both out of 15. So you're gonna have to multiply this one by 3 and multiply this one by 5. So if you multiply the bottom by 3 here, you're going to have to multiply the top by 3 as well. So that's 2 times 3, which gives you 6. And obviously for the bottom we got 15. Same for this as well. If you multiply the bottom by 5, you're going to have to multiply the top by 5 as well. So that's going to be 5 out of 15. So when you add these two together, obviously your answer is going to be out of 15 as well. And all you do is just add the 6 with the 5, that gives you 11. So that's 11 out of 15 for the tea and the coffee. So the hot chocolate, which must be the rest, must be when you take away this fraction away from one whole. And one whole is the same as 15 out of 15. And let's take it away from that now. That leaves you with 4 out of 15. So that must be your answer for hot chocolate. So what fraction of all the cups of hot drinks sold were cups of hot chocolate? You want your answer as a fraction, and we have got it as a fraction. That's 4 out of 15, and that should be your final answer. So let's put that in the answer box. Let's move on to the next question. Question 2a, work out 13.4 times 5.2 for 2 marks. So this is without the calculator, so we're going to have to multiply like this, and just ignore the decimal points for now and just multiply normally. So all the numbers at the top are going to multiply all the numbers at the bottom, and you always start from the right hand side. So 4 times 2 is 8, 3 2s are 6, 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so that's that done, so that's the 2 done. Next we need to multiply by this 5, but technically if you were to remove the decimal point, that would be in your tens column, or if you imagine it's in the tens column. So put a 0 down here, and now you can think of it as a 5. Now you can do 4 times 5, which is 20, so put 0 down, carry the 2. 3 times 5 is 15, plus the 2 is 17, carry the 1. 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 1 is 6. And you add these two lines together, so that's an 8, that's a 6, that's a 9, and that's a 6. And now we look at how many decimal places this had. This had 1 decimal place, and this had 1 decimal place as well. So altogether you've got 2 decimal places for your answer, which is right there. Let's put that in the answer box. 69.68. Yep, so obviously you get 1 mark for your working, 1 mark for your answer. So this is one way you could do it. You could do it a different way if you wanted to, such as the grid method, which I have seen before, or any other method where you get the correct answer is absolutely fine. Definitely don't do these in your head, by the way, and just, if you just give the answer on its own, it's not going to give you the 2 marks. Okay, well, let's move on to part B, which says use estimation to show a check of your working. So when it says this, you have to round the numbers. And when you show a check, you can go forwards the normal way. So, like we did 13.4 times by 5.2. So again, you could do multiplication if you wanted to. Or you can work backwards from your answer. I'm just going to go the normal way. So let's call it 13 for the first number. And let's call 5.2, let's call that 5. So 13 times 5, let's do that instead. So that's going to be 15, carry the 1, and that's going to be a 6. Yep, which is roughly 69.68. So there's your check done. So I did get pretty close to 69.68, the original answer from part A. So that proves that we have done part A correctly as well. There's your proof that even when you round these numbers, you get pretty close to your answer to part A. Yep, for an extra mark. So that's 3 marks in total for question 2. Let's move on to question 3. Question 3. Mitch works in a fitness centre. He gives 1 raffle ticket to each of 1,000 people that attend the fitness centre. Mitch starts to complete this two-way table to show information about the people he gives the raffle tickets to. So you've got spin, yoga, cardio, and so on. Right. Complete the two-way table for Mitch. 2 marks. Part A. So hopefully you know, or hopefully you've seen a two-way table before. So obviously you have total going this way, and you have totals going this way as well. So you just have to fill in the blanks. So for example, let's do this one right here. I'm going to add the 322 plus 318. Let's add these two together, and then I'm going to take it away from the 1,000. So that gives me 10. That's a 4. That's a 6. So 1,000 take away 640. That's a 0. Gonna have to borrow. Gonna have to borrow again. So that's a 6, and that's a 3. So that's going to be 360. Yeah. So they've given you this space for a reason. You know, they want you to do all the working out. They don't want you to do it in your head. So do use this space for your working. I'm going to carry on. So I'm going to add these two together. And let's see what we get. That's a 9. That's a 7. That's a 2. And then take it away from this one. So 389. Take away 279. So that's going to be 0. That's a 1. And that's a 1. So that's 110. Right. So next we can do. In fact, we can go this way if we wanted to. Yeah, might as well. Let's do 107 plus 134. That gives me 11, carry the 1, that's a 4, and that's a 2. And then take that away from, what was it? 360. Gonna have to borrow. That's a 9, that's a 1, that's a 1. So that's 119. Okay, and there's only one left. Again, I'm going to add, let's add 145 to 92. So that gives me 7, that's 13, and that's a 2. And let's take it away from 322. Yeah, so borrow, that's a 5, borrow again, and that's 85. Yep, so that's that done. It's 2 marks just for doing that. Part B says, Mitch selects a raffle ticket at random. What is the probability that the ticket he selects belongs to a person aged under 50 whose favourite class is cardio? For 2 marks. So these type of questions, you have to be careful. They always split the question into 2 parts here. So the first part, which is technically this bit here, this whole thing, tells you who they're picking from. Yep, so this is going to be your denominator. So this sentence, ignore this bit here first, you know, this second sentence. The first sentence is very important because that tells you your denominator. So Mitch selects a raffle ticket at random. That to me tells me that they're picking from everyone. So that's out of 1,000. That's the first part. Yep, so your fraction is going to look like that. Yep, so that's the first bit of your fraction. The numerator is now this bit here. So this whole sentence here, what is the probability that the ticket he selects belongs to a person aged under 50 whose favourite class is cardio? This whole sentence is going to be for the numerator. So we need person under 50 and at the same time their favourite class is cardio. So let's just go back to the table. Well, cardio is this column here. And the ones that are under 50 are these guys and these guys as well. So we're going to have to add these 2 groups of people together. So 145 plus 134. So 145 plus 134. Let's add these 2 together. So that's going to give you 9. That's a 7. That's a 2. Let me just make sure. 145 and 134. Yeah, that's right. So your answer is going to be 279 out of 1,000 for your answer. And you get 2 marks for doing that. You don't need to simplify it. In fact, I don't think we can simplify it. Just leave it like that. If it doesn't say simplify, you don't have to. Let's just leave it like that. 279 over 1,000. You get 2 marks for doing that. Obviously, you do have to show this bit working out as well. That's how you get your numerator. So yeah, whenever you get any question like this, always separate it. They always do that in the exam. They will always have either 2 sentences, or they might say the whole thing in just one big sentence. In this case, they separated it into 2 sentences. The first sentence tells you who they're picking from, which is your denominator, and the second sentence, which is still part of the same question, that tells you this bit here, the numerator. So that's how you answer these type of questions. Yeah. So just be careful with that. Do practice these types of questions if you're not sure, or if you're not confident in these type of questions. Do practice these, please. Well, let's move on to the next question. Question 4. Dave is going to paint a wall. Here is a scale diagram of the wall. Okay. The scale says that 1 centimeter represents 0.5 meters. Dave will paint this wall twice. He thinks the total area that he needs to paint is greater than 30 meters squared. Is Dave correct? You must show all your work in. 6 marks. Wow. Okay. I think this is the last question for section A. So if you have a scale diagram, then definitely you need a ruler. You need to measure these lines Obviously it's talking about area, so we need to work out area of that shape. Okay, but first of all I need these measurements. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to put my ruler on the screen and I'll show you what these measurements are. So as you can see, for the first line right at the top, that's going to be exactly 7 centimeters. Let me put that in there. Next I'll do this line over here. Right, so as you can see, that's going to be exactly 8 centimeters. So let me write that in. That's that line done. Next I'll do the one at the bottom. Right, okay, so I've had to double my rulers. As you can see, my ruler only goes up to 10 centimeters here, and then I had to join another ruler on the end. So as you can see, from end to end though, it's definitely going to be 12 centimeters. Can you see it's 10 here and an extra 2 centimeters here? So obviously you guys use your ruler and you should get exactly 12 centimeters in one go. So I had to do it in stages for mine. So for me anyway, I get 12 centimeters from just for the baseline here. Yeah. So let me just get rid of the rulers. There we go, they're gone. And now we can work out the area. But before I do that, if I start working out the area using centimeters, I'm going to get my answer in centimeters squared. And then changing it from centimeter squared to meter squared is going to be a little bit messy. So me personally, I would change these to meters, because they said your scale is, for every centimeter, is going to represent half a meter in real life. Yeah, so let's change it to what it would be in real life then. So obviously if it's half a meter, that means if you halve whatever number centimeters you have, that's how many meters it'll be in real life. So you're gonna have to halve that as well, and we should get our answer in meters technically, because that's our scale. So that's going to be 3.5 meters. That's going to be 4 meters, and that's going to be 6 meters. Okay, so now we can work out the area. But before we do that, again, we can't work out the area as it is. We're going to have to split the shape. And the way to split it is just going, can you see from the top of this point here, we're just going to go straight down. So I'll get a rectangle and a triangle. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to draw a straight line going down. There we go. And now let's call this shape A. Let's call this shape B. Okay, so shape A is not too bad. That is just this length here, 3.5. In fact, let me put that here so it's a little bit clearer. And this is 4 meters. Yep. So in fact, let me just tidy this up. Okay, so I've tidied it up a little bit. It's not great, but you know, you get the idea. So let's do area A, which is, let's write it down here, area A. Obviously that's length times width, so that's going to be 4 times, what was it? 4 times 3.5. So let's do that first. So 4 times, oh, how am I going to do that without the calculator? So we're going to have to do it like this. 3.5 times by 4. Yeah, so 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. Yeah, and you have 1 decimal place in total, so that's going to be 14 meters squared. Okay, so that's area A done. Area B, I'm going to need base, and I'm going to need the height. Well, the base, don't forget, you know, remember we did 6 meters for the whole length of that. So if it's 3.5 at the top, from here to here, if you take away the 6 meters, you'll be left with this length here, from here to here, which is what we want. So that's going to be 6 take away 3.5. Yeah, and hopefully you can work that out in your head. If not, just work out on the side. That should be 2.5. meters. Yep, so that's going to be 2.5 meters there. Okay, and that's going to be 4 again, same as that on that side. So now we can do 4 times 2.5. So this is for area B, which is base times height divided by 2. So let's do base times height first. That's 4 times 2.5. Again, we're going to have to do it like this. So 5 fours are 20, carry the 2. 2 fours are 8, plus the 2 is 10. Yep, so that's just the base times height done. Now I've got to do base times height divided by 2, so we have to halve it. So 10 divided by 2, that's going to be 5 meters squared. Yeah, so area B should be 5 meters squared. So total area of the shape is 14. You can just call it 14, you don't have to call it 14.0 now. Plus the 5, which gives you 19 meters squared. Yeah, so if you paint the wall once, it's going to be 19 meters squared. He's going to paint it twice, so we're going to have to double that. So 19 times by 2, let's work that out. So that's going to be 9 times 2, which is 18. Carry the 1. 1 times 2 is 2, plus the 1 is 3. Ooh, right. So when he paints the wall twice, he's going to need 38 meters squared. He thinks the total area that he needs to paint is greater than 30 meters squared. Is Dave correct? Yes, he is, because we can say 38 is greater than 30. So yes, he is correct. Yep, there's your proof. As long as you show all this bit of working out, all these little bits, you get 6 marks for doing that question. It's a little bit fiddly, a little bit tricky, but if you do it bit by bit, you know, obviously you're going to have to change the units first. I would change it to meters, change everything to meters first, then work out the area. Your answer will be in meters squared, which is what they're talking about in the question here. There's the big clue to tell you that you needed meters squared ultimately. So you know, that was a big clue for me anyway. Yeah, and eventually you will get your answer. Just work out bit by bit. Yeah, so that's section A done. Let's move on to section B. So just give me a couple of seconds and I shall put section B on the screen. Okay, so this is section B. This is obviously the calculator paper. So you're going to need a calculator, ideally a scientific calculator, for working out these questions. Let's go on to question 1. Question 1, here is a set of data. Part A says, find the median for 2 marks. So hopefully you know that median is when you put these in order, ideally from smallest to largest, or you can do biggest to smallest, and then you're looking for the middle number, so you work your way towards the center. So let's put these in order. So I can see straight away, I can see a 0, that goes first. Let's cross it off the list as well. Next one is, I've got 3 8s. Let's cross them off. Next one is, looks like the 10. Then I've got 13. 14. 2 15s. And a 16. Yeah, that's all of them. Can you see I've crossed them all off? So now I need to work my way towards the center. So this goes with this. This goes with this. This goes with this. This goes with this. And I'm left with 2 in the middle. Remember we had 10 numbers, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 10 numbers, so it's an even number, so you're definitely going to get 2 in the middle. So you need the middle of these. So the best way of getting the middle of these is add them together and halve it, which gives us 23 over 2. And half of that is, let's do it on the calculator, That's 11.5. Yep, let's put that in the answer box. That goes there. Yep, 2 marks for that. So obviously 1 mark for your working, 1 mark for your answer. Let's move on to the next part. So part B says, find the mode for 1 mark. So yeah, for 1 mark, as you can see, there's not going to be much working out for this. In fact, there's not going to be any working out for this. Hopefully you know that mode means the most, or the one that occurs the most frequently. Yep, because they both start with the MO. Best way of remembering. Mode means most. So looking at my list again, remember we had 3 8s here at the beginning. So definitely your answer is going to be an 8. Yeah, so in the answer box, just put an 8 for your answer and you get an extra mark. So that's 3 marks in total for question 1. Let's move on to question 2. Question 2. Last year, Jim bought 15 prizes for work. The prizes cost £27 each. This year, Jim will buy 18 prizes. He will spend the same total amount of money as he spent last year on the prizes. Each of the 18 prizes must cost the same amount of money. Work out the cost of each prize this year for 3 marks. So if it was the same total amount, we can easily work that out, can't we? Because if it was 15 prizes, each of them were £27. So that's going to be 15 times 27. Yeah, this should give us a total. Let's do that on the calculator. That equals 405. Yeah, that's going to be in pounds, obviously. So that's the total. And they said it's going to be the same. But this time he's going to have 18 prizes. The 18 prizes are going to be shared between the 405. So it's going to be 405 divided by 18. Yeah, to work out what one prize would be. So 405 divided by 18. Might need to press SD. So on the calculator it looks like this. Yeah, so obviously this is going to be in pounds. And if that's in pounds, you need to write a 0 on the end. Yeah, so you're going to get £22.50. And that's going to be your answer. Let's put that in the answer box. £22.50. Yeah, 3 marks just for doing that. So obviously 2 marks for your working, 1 mark for your answer. Let's move on to the next question. Question 3. Steve is writing a report about TV viewing. He has the following information. So you've got number of people in the household, number of TVs in the household as well. Steve thinks there is a relationship between the number of people and the number of TVs in a household. Draw a suitable diagram for Steve. 3 marks. Right, so for me, the key word here is relationship. And whenever it says this and it's talking about a diagram, definitely this is going to be scatter graph. Yeah, 100%. You can draw scatter graph. So obviously you're going to need a vertical axis, a horizontal one. You can choose which one's which in this case because it doesn't really make a difference. So, you know, even if you do, I'll do number of people at the bottom because I'm going to do them first. So I'm going to go across with the number of people and then go up to do with the number of TVs. So I'll do number of people at the bottom. Let me just see what kind of scale I can put. So biggest number I've got here is 6. So let me just see how many boxes I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use, I'll use every 2 big boxes. Can you see the big box here? I'll do that for 1 unit. Yep. That's a 4. That's a 5. And 6 is there. Yeah. And that makes sure that you use the whole graph. You know, make sure that you don't do a graph that's too small because it's going to be a bit weird. And then on the other side, you're going to do the same again. Yeah, I'm going to use 2 boxes for every unit. So that's a 1 there, 2 there, 3, 4. Let me just move up. 5 and 6. And again, don't forget to label your axes as well. So what did we say? Number of people for the bottom, and number of TVs for the other one. Yep. So the first one, what's that going to be? So that's going to be 3 across and 2 up. So I'll do the first one on the screen. 3 across, 2 up is right there. Yep, so there's my first cross. Just give me a couple of seconds and I shall complete the rest. Right, so this is how my graph looks like. As you can see, the crosses are in the right place. So if you want to pause the video, just double check that you've got the crosses in the right place as well. Yeah, same as me. I've also I drew a line at the bottom for my axes, my horizontal one, and I drew a line for my vertical axes as well, just make it nice and neat. And you don't need to draw a line of best fit in this case because it doesn't ask for it, even for part B. All they say for part B is describe the relationship between the number of people and number of TVs in the household. And as you can see, because the crosses are going in a uphill kind of way, going from left to right, definitely this is going to be a positive relationship or positive correlation. That's all he's saying. So let's put that in, positive. Oops. Correlation. Yeah, and that gets you an extra mark. So 4 marks in total for that question. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. Question 4. Karen invests £2,500 for 3 years. The investment earns 1.7% compound interest per year. Work out the value of the investment at the end of 3 years. 3 marks. So the quick way of doing this is by using the formula. And hopefully you know, formula is your final value is equal to the initial amount, and you always times by open brackets. You always do 1 either plus or minus. So plus if it's increasing, like a bank account in this case, minus if it's decreasing, things like if you buy a car, for example, it goes down in value. So either plus or minus, and then you do your percentage out of 100, close your brackets, to the power of n. So n could be number of years, number of months. In this case, it's number of years. So our initial amount, well, that's the amount that she invests, which is 2,500, times by, in this case, because it's a bank account, it's a 1 plus. The percentage in this case is 1.7%. Close your brackets. And n is 3, so there's a little 3 in the corner. So if you can type this exactly how it's written in your calculator, I'm going to do the same. And just notice you can use the divide button here, you know, where you've got the 1.7 over 100. You can use the divide button there as well, if you don't want to use the fraction button. So I'm going to type it in, and I get, in pounds, 2,629 pounds, 68 pence, let's call it, to the nearest pence. So I'm going to round it to the nearest pence, which is 68. Work out the value of investment. There you go, 3 marks just for doing that. So you get 2 marks for showing your working out. Technically, this is your working by putting it in the formula. And your answer gets your 3rd mark for that. That's that done. So yeah, if you if you're a bit rusty, if you've forgotten the formula, definitely you do need to know this. It is really important, and they do like to show these type of questions in level, especially in level 2. So the quick and easy way of doing these, especially if it says compound interest. Very rarely see simple interest, to be honest, for level 2. If it does come up, most likely it's going to be compound interest anyway. And the best way is by using this formula. Let's move on to the next question. Question 5. Here is a cylinder. Part A says, using y equal to 11, calculate the area of the curved surface of the cylinder. 4 marks. So, as you can see, y is here, and there's a y here as well. So if y is 11, that's going to be 11 centimeters here. And that looks like the diameter, so that's going to be 3 times by 11. So hopefully you know that the if they're side by side like this, there's an invisible multiplication sign here. So 3 times 11, which is 33 centimeters. That's the first step, just replacing the y. Yeah, so y is gone. We have 11 for the height of the cylinder, 33 for the diameter. Let me just make a note of that. That's the diameter. Okay. Next, where is this curved surface of the cylinder? So when I was marking this in the other class, most people did get this wrong. It's not asking for the whole area. It's not the area of the top, the bottom, and this bit that goes around. It's only the curved surface. The curved surface is only this bit here, the bit that goes round. So you're ignoring the circle at the top. We don't want the area of that. We don't want the area of the bottom. We just want the area, the bit that goes round. Okay, that's your curved surface. How to work that out? If you imagine, if you cut down the center of that curved surface and unwrap it, think of it like a label on a tin of beans. It's going to be a rectangle. Okay, so there's your height, same as this height here, so that's 11. That's all right. Where most people got wrong was this length here, from here to here. It's not the same as the diameter. This length here is technically this edge that goes all the way around, and that edge there, what do we normally call that edge? Well, that's the circumference. So technically we need the circumference of the circle for this length here from end to end. So to work out the circumference, we use c equal to pi d, or the funny way that I remember, cherry pie is delicious, and the other formula is cherry pie is delicious and apple pies are 2. Yeah, it's just a funny way of remembering it. So cherry pie is delicious, apple pies are 2. So obviously we're using this one. We're not using apple pies are 2. We're using cherry pie is delicious. And we're going to use 3.14 for pi, because that's what it says on the front of the paper. And for d, well, d was this bit here that we worked out. Diameter was 33. So let's do that separately. 3.14 times 33. That gives me 103.62. That's going to be centimeters. Yeah, so that's going to be that length there for that, the top of that rectangle. So now we can work out the area of the rectangle. Well, area of the rectangle is length times width. So the length is this bit here, the 103.62, times the width, which is that bit there, so that's 11. So now 103.62 times 11 gives us 1139.82. And that's going to be centimeters squared. And that is going to be your final answer for part A. Yep, so just be careful, just remember which bit is it talking about. That's the first bit. Just wants the curved surface, the bit that goes round. Unwrap that. What does that actually look like? Well, it's a rectangle. The height is okay. That's just the same as the height of the cylinder. The length, that is the bit that goes all the way around the edge of the circle at the top, which is the same as the circumference. So you're gonna have to work that out separately. So yeah, a bit of a tricky question, but yeah, do practice these type of questions if you're struggling with circles. But that's part A done. Part B says, here is a trapezium. Trapezium has one line of symmetry. Choose the correct calculation to work out the perimeter of the trapezium. Ooh, for 1 mark. Okay. So, we need to know where this is first. Why have they mentioned this? One line of symmetry. Well, it's got to be down the centre. There's your line of symmetry. And if that's your line of symmetry, if that's 150 on that side, it's got to be 150 millimeters on that side as well. It's talking about perimeter. Perimeter is where you just add them all up. So yes, we did need that. And don't forget, you know, these are in millimeters. And these are in centimeters. So you can't just add them as they are. Can you notice that there's no units for this? So let me just see which one looks like the correct one. So it's either this one or it's this one. It can't be the second one because it's not 28 plus 150. You can't add 28 to this. Doesn't make sense because that's in centimeters, that's in millimeters. It's got to be this one here. When you change it to everything changed to millimeters. So yeah, that's going to be 280, and that's going to be 450 millimeters. So now when you add them all together, it's definitely that one there, that fourth option. So yeah, just put a tick in that box for an extra mark. Let's move on to the next question. Question 6a, write 45% as a fraction in its simplest form for 1 mark. So hopefully that 45% as a fraction looks like that. And you could use your calculator if you wanted to. In fact, I'm going to do that. So let's put in your calculator 45 divided by 100. And if you've got those fancy scientific calculators, it does it for you. 9/20. When you press equals, it'll do it for you. Yep. Or you could have done, let me just do it manually. You could work out if you wanted to. Basically, just check what goes into both of these, and hopefully, you know, 5 is a common factor in both 45 and 100, which gives you 9 at the top, 20 for the bottom. So let's put that in the answer box for 1 mark. Part B, for 2 marks, calculate all of that. And because it's 2 marks, you know, I'm going to work out bits of these separately. So, for example, 13 squared is the same as 13 times 13. Yeah. And the bottom bit, we could probably work that out as well separately. Let's do, on the calculator, 11 take away 9.5. That's giving me 1.5. So, 13 times 13, I believe that's 169. Let me just double check. Yeah, 169. And now I can do the top bit. 5 plus that gives you 174 over 1.5. So it's 174 divided by 1.5. Now I'm going to use my calculator and I get my answer. 116. So I would show some kind of working out, because it's 2 marks, you'll get something for you working out for showing that this bit here is 169, for example. You could technically work out the whole thing in your calculator, but you know, do show some kind of working out because it says calculate. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question. Question 7. Kate is making biscuits. She uses flour, butter and sugar in the ratio 5 to 3 to 2. Kate has 800 grams of flour, 550 grams of butter. Kate wants to make the maximum number of biscuits possible. She works out how much sugar she needs. Part A says, how much sugar does Kate need? You must show you're working. 3 marks. So let's write this ratio down. 5, 3 to 2. So in the order it's written, 5 is the flour. That's your butter. And that's your sugar. Okay. So she has 800 grams of flour, 550 grams of butter. So for example, let's say she's using all of the flour for 800 grams. That's going to go underneath the flour here. Okay. So how do you get from 5 to 800? So in my calculator, I'm doing 800 divided by 5. And I get 160. So this must be 160 times bigger than the 5. So if that's 160 times bigger, let's do the same for the other numbers. So 3 times 160 is 480. And for the sugar, 2 times 160 is 320. So if she did use 800 grams of flour, she'd need 480 grams of butter and 320 grams of sugar. So she does actually have 550 grams of butter. But if she was to use 550 grams, can you see that if you were to use 550 underneath here, underneath the butter, it would affect your answer for flour here, because already, you know, with 800 grams of flour, you've got the maximum amount of butter that she can make, or she would need, which is 480. So she can't go beyond 480 grams of butter because, you know, it's not going to work with 800 grams of flour. So therefore, this is the maximum amount of flour she will need. This is the maximum amount of butter she will need, and this is the maximum amount of sugar she will need as well. So your answer, because it's asking just for the sugar, we put 320 grams for the sugar, which is here. Part B says, use a reverse calculation to show check of you working, for 1 mark. So whenever it says reverse calculation, you have to work backwards from your answer. So I have to do 320. What was the last thing we did? Well, the last thing we did was times by 160. So you're going to have to divide by 160 and type that in your calculator, and you should get exactly 2, which is what we got here. So yeah, it's part of your original, one of the original numbers in the question. So yeah, for 1 mark, that's good enough. It's 4 marks in total for that question. Let's move on. Question 8. Lou wants to go to a gym. She sees these 2 offers at the gym. Offer A, gym membership £44 per month plus £30 joining fee. All classes included. And for offer B, it's pay-as-you-go, £7.75 per class, no joining fee. Lou wants to attend 2 classes each week for 1 year. Lou thinks if she uses offer A, she will save at least 28% on the total cost of classes compared to using offer B. Is she correct? Show why you think this for 6 marks. So let's work out. I'll tell you what, let's do offer A here on this side, and let's do offer B on this side. So offer A, let's do that one first. So offer A was £44 per month plus a £30 joining fee. So if it's for the whole year, that must mean it's 44 times 12, because there's 12 months in a year. Let's do that first. So on the calculator, 44 times 12 is £528 plus the £30 joining fees. That's just a one-off cost of £30. So I need to add 30 to that, which gives me £558. Okay, and that's for all the classes that she wants. Yeah, she only wants 2 classes per week, so that's good enough. So offer A should get this answer. Offer B, let's just have a look at offer B. So it's pay as you go, £7.75 per class, and there's no joining fee. Okay, so if it's £7.75 per class, she wants to do 2 classes per week. Where it says here, 2 classes each week. Yeah, so we're going to have to do £7.75 times by 2. Let's do that first. 7.75. Let's do that on the calculator. That gives me £15.50. That's going to be per week. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to write what it's for as well. So that's per week. And hopefully you should know that there's 52 weeks in a year. So let's do 1550 times 52. Yeah, this will be for the whole year. And that gives me 806. That's going to be in pounds. So that's offer A and offer B done. It said in the question, Lou thinks Lou thinks if she uses offer A, she will save at least 28% on the total cost of classes compared to using offer B. So you're comparing with offer B. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You could work out 28% of the offer B and compare it with the saving. Well, the saving is, in fact, let's do the saving first. Let's do the saving. So the saving is the difference between offer B and offer A. So you'll have to do 806 take away 558. Let's do that first. And that gives me £248. So it's a £248 saving. She thinks that's at least 28% on the total cost of classes compared to using offer B. So, what's a good way of doing this? Yeah, I tell you what, let's do 28% of offer B. Yeah, we can compare it with this saving here. So 28% of 806 gives us £225.68. So that's our 28%, and now we can compare it with the saving, which is this one here, £248. So she thinks offer A will save at least 28% on the total cost of classes compared to using offer B. Yeah, in fact it is, yeah. So, you know, the saving is actually more than the 28%. So because it said at least 28%, it can be more than 28%, which in fact it is. So yes, I would say 248 is greater than 225.68. So yes. Yeah, that's one way of doing it. You could work out what percentage saving it is, in fact. Let me try that different way. So you could have done 248, the saving, out of the original, what was it, 806. Out of that, what is that as a percentage? You times by 100. So let's do 248 divided by 806 times by 100, and you get 30 point. Let's call it 30.8%. So again, it's more than the 28%, isn't it? So again, it's So yes, because it's more than 28%. So a couple of ways of doing that. You know, as long as you can show it is the saving is more than 28%, or it's at least 28%. That's good enough, and you get 6 marks for doing that. Yep, let's move on to the next question. Question 9. Here is a grid with points A, B, C, and D plotted. Okay. Part A says, write down the coordinates of point A. Well, that's that one right there. Well, you always go across and then up or down. So going across, it's -7 for the x value, and you'll have to go down to -4 for the y coordinate. Yep, so it's going to be -7, -4 for 1 mark. Part B says, on the grid, mark with a cross another point and join all 5 points to form a pentagon with 1 line of symmetry. 2 marks. Let me just see where these points are going. So if it's a 1 line of symmetry, it can't be going this way, it can't be going up and down. The line of symmetry must be going this way, because these points are not in line with these points over here. So can you see B and C, they're not in line with each other. A and D, they're not in line with each other. So the line of symmetry must be going through the center. Let me just find out what the center would actually be. So how many squares is it from A to B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if it's 10 squares apart, that means halfway would be 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right there. Let's check this side as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need to go 4 down from C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so there's my line of symmetry straight through this. Let me just do it as a dotted line, just to show you guys. And I think it's a good idea to do it in the on your paper as well. There's your line of symmetry. If I want another point to make this a pentagon, it has to be on this line of symmetry for it to be symmetrical. So anywhere beyond this point, so anywhere past 3, I think. So here, 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 or here. I'm going to put it right there. And did they say join the points? Let me just double check. Join all 5 points, right? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to use my thing. In fact, let's do it. I'll just show you guys. Join these together. So that goes with that. That to that. That to that. Obviously, you guys use your pencil and ruler. That to that. That to that. Yep, there's your pentagon. So yeah, you could have put the point anywhere along this line here, up to the 8, really. So I'd say you could put it on the 4, the 5, 6, 7, and 8 on that dotted line. That would be absolutely fine. Yeah, so there's quite a few solutions for that. Just make sure that it's the line of symmetry is running through the center like that. Yeah. So how many marks was that? 3 marks in total for that. Let's move on to the next question. Question 10. Rav provides food for events. Last year, 550 people attended an event. This year, there'll be 748 people attending the event. Calculate the percentage increase in the number of people attending. 3 marks. So whenever it says anything like this, percentage increase or decrease, and you can see a change happening in the question. Can you see it's gone from 550 people to 748 people? Definitely this is percentage change question. So hopefully you know that percentage change formula is change over the original times 100. Yeah, so you do need to remember this. They're not going to tell you in the exam. So definitely percentage change. So change is the difference between the two numbers. So let's do that first separately. So change is, obviously you do the bigger one, take away the smaller one. Let's do that in the calculator. So 748, take away 550. That's 198. Okay, so now we can put it in the formula. 198 over the original. Well, what was the original? Let's go back to the question. Well, it was originally 550. That was last year. Yeah, so make sure you don't use the this year one. So the first one, the first value was 550. That goes there. Yeah, that was the original. You want it as a percentage, you times by 100. Let's type this in the calculator. So 198 divided by 550 times by 100. You get 36 on the calculator, so it's going to be 36% for your answer. Yep, so it's a 36% increase. 3 marks for that. And let's move on to the next question. Question 11. Meg has a dog. She has this information about dog food. So dog size, you've got small, medium, large, and giant. And you've got daily quantity of dog food in packs. So you've got a range of values for each one. Okay. Meg knows that her dog weighs 29 pounds. We're told that 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. Meg has 24 packs of dog food. What is the maximum number of days she can feed her dog with the 24 packs? Show why you think this. For 3 marks. Part A. So if she's got her dog weighs 29 pounds, well, let's change it to kilograms, because they're talking about kilograms here in the table, aren't they? So let's rewrite this conversion here. 1 kg equals 2.2 pounds. We've got 29 pounds, that goes here. Yeah, so we're going this way. So we're going from 2.2 to 1, definitely dividing by 2.2. So you're going to have to do the same here as well. Let's do that on the calculator. 29 divided by 2.2. That gives you, okay, looks a bit weird, 13.18 kilograms, and you've got 2 recurring decimals here and here. So you can just call it 13.18 if you wanted to. It's absolutely fine. All right, that's the first bit. So if the dog is 13, let's call it 13.18 kilograms, that means it's definitely a medium dog. Yeah, and a medium dog uses between 1 1/3 to 2 1/3 packs of food, isn't it? Daily quantity of dog food in packs. Right, so they want the maximum number of days she can feed her dog with 24 packs. So she's got 24 packs. Okay, so basically we're gonna have to divide either this or this with 24. So I reckon if you divide it by the smaller number, you're going to get a bigger answer. If you divide by a bigger number, you're going to get a smaller answer. But we want a maximum, so we want a really big answer. We want the largest possible answer. So you're going to have to do 24 divided by 1 1/3 to get your maximum number of days. 24 divided by 1 1/3. A little bit tricky to understand, but basically you have to imagine that, you know, you've got a range of values here between 1 1/3 and 2 1/3, and think of it like this: you want the dog food to last as long as possible. You want the maximum number of days. So therefore, you're gonna have to use as little dog food as possible for it to last longer, if that makes more sense. Yep, so it's definitely 24 divided by 1 1/3. How to type this into the calculator? What you could do, you could type it in as it is, or change that to top heavy. So you multiply these two together, 1 and 3, plus the 1 gives you 4 over 3. I think that's a little bit better, isn't it? So let's do 24 divided by, as a fraction, 4 over 3. Yeah. And on your calculator, it should give you the answer of exactly 18, and that's going to be 18 days. Yeah. Bit of a tricky question, that one, but hopefully that made sense. You know, you want the maximum number of days. You want it to last as long as possible. Therefore, you're going to have to divide it by the smaller value, which is this one right here. Yeah, for it to last longer. Think of it like that. Yeah, that, to me, that makes more sense. Plus, it was a roughly about 13 kilogram dog as well, so it's closer to this value than this value. So possibly that's another reason why you should be using this as well. But I reckon the main reason is because you want the maximum number of days. You want it to last as long as possible, so you're going to have to divide by the smaller value. Let's move on to the next question. Part B says, Meg needs to replace part of a garden fence to keep her dog safe. She needs to replace 78 feet of fencing. Meg buys fencing measured in meters. Meg uses 1 meter is 3.28 feet. Work out how many meters of fencing Meg needs for 2 marks. So this is not really related to the first part of the question. So even if you got part A wrong, you can still do this part B and, you know, still get it right. So when I was marking this in the other day in my class, even though those who got part A wrong, they completely skipped this question. You know, there's no point in doing that, because it's not really, there's not any link to this to the part A, to be honest, for this question. So they are separate calculations. You know, do work this out separately. Okay, so how are we going to work this out? Let's use this conversion. 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. Okay, so she needs to replace 78 feet. That goes on this side. And so we're going this way. So that's going to be divide by 3.28. Yep, let's do the same here. So as you can see, we're not using anything to do with part A at all. 78 divided by 3.28. That gives me an answer of 23.78, let's call it, meters. Yep. How many meters of fencing? Yeah, you can put 23.78, or you can put 24 if you want to. In the marks scheme, does have both. I'm going to put 23.78 for my answer. Yeah, it doesn't say whole meters, it just says how many meters. And yeah, you can have a decimal of a meter. So yeah, that's good enough for 2 marks. Obviously 1 mark for your working, 1 mark for your answer. Let's move on to the next question. Question 12. Ria works in a factory making solid steel spheres. She has this information about the number of spheres made each day for the last 100 days. So, okay, this looks familiar. This looks like a frequency table, or a group frequency table, sorry. Ria will use this information to estimate the mean number of spheres made each day. Yep. She knows that the volume of a sphere is V equal to 4 pi r cubed over 3. R is the radius of the sphere. Each sphere has a diameter of 15 millimeters. Calculate the mean volume of steel used each day to make spheres. Give your answer to the nearest 1,000. 6 marks, wow, that's a lot of marks for one question. So yeah, can you see they've repeated the table again? This time they've included these 2 columns. Usually you do see that for level 2. And hopefully you know how to fill in this table. Because we've got a range of values, we can't just do this multiplied by this because it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to need the midpoints first. Yeah, for your third column. So the midpoint is what's between 210 and 212. Well, you could add them together and halve it, and let's put that in the calculator, and you should get 211. Yeah, so that's from that. So hopefully you've seen what the next ones should be then. So if that's 211, that must be 214. Between these two must be 217, and between these two should be 220. Yeah, and now you can multiply across, and let's call this number of days times the midpoint. Yeah, so 4 times 211 is 844. 32 times 214 is 6848. 53 times 217 is 11501. And 11 times 220 is 2420. I'm going to need the total of this fourth column. That gives you 21,613 for the total. Okay, and you also need the total for the days as well. Technically, that's your frequency. Yep, that's going to be 100 days. So the estimate for the mean, and it will be an estimate because we don't know the actual mean, because we're using midpoints. We don't know the actual number of spheres for each of these days. So this is why it's an estimate of mean equals total for your fourth column divided by total of your frequency. Yep, and you'll get 216.13. And what does that actually represent? That's going to be mean number of, not the volume, we haven't got that yet. This is the mean number of spheres each day. Yeah, so I would say this number is mean number of spheres each day. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Do write that, you know, because this is not your final answer. Obviously, you're going to need the volume and then multiply it by this to get your final answer. So we need to work out the volume of what one sphere would be. So we're going to have to go back. Let's go back to where it says volume, and we have to use this formula. We're going to need the radius. Well, we're told that the diameter is 15, so radius must be half of that, and that's 7.5 millimeters. So let's work out the volume. Let's do that here. 4 times 3.14 for pi, and 7.5 cubed, and you're going to have to divide all of that with 3. Yep, let's type that whole thing in your calculator. Okay, so I get 1766.25, and that's going to be millimeters cubed. Okay, so that's the volume of one sphere though. Yeah, for one sphere. Yeah, that's the volume of one sphere. We had an average of 216.13 spheres per day. So the calculate the mean volume of steel, this bit here, we're going to have to multiply the volume of one sphere with the mean number of spheres. So this should give us our final answer. So 216.13 times 25. Let me just double check. Yeah. Let's do that in the calculator. So 216.13 times 1766.25. Oh, right. So this gives me 381739.6125. And again, this is going to be millimeters cubed. The mean volume of spheres per day. Okay, so we have to give our answer. Let me just recheck what it said. Give your answer to the nearest 1,000. Oh, right. So that's my units, that's my tens, that's my hundreds. There's my 1,000. So my dotted line goes here. There's my cutoff line. So this 7 is going to decide what happens to the 1 that goes up to a 2. That stays the same. That stays the same. Fill in the blanks up to the decimal point. So your final answer should be 382,000. Let me go put that in the answer box. Yep, there we go. 382,000. Yeah, to the nearest 1,000. You get 6 marks for doing that. So even if you don't get your final answer, you know, I think everyone should be able to do the table. Definitely, that's 100%. Everyone should be able to do the volume of one sphere. So even if you do the table, work out the volume of the sphere, that's at least 4 marks out of 6 already. And then after that, you know, there's only one more step that you need to do. You just need to multiply those two numbers together and you get your final answer. And obviously you have to round it as well. But, you know, it's definitely doable to get a lot of marks on this question. Don't let this put you off. I know it's a lot of information, but just do it step by step. You can definitely work out the estimate of the mean for this table. You can definitely work out the volume of one sphere, you know, so definitely don't leave this blank. I'll probably do this question last. It is one of those ones where you can just skip it and just come back to it. Well, this was the last question anyway, so you know, you're gonna have to do this last anyway. So but yeah, don't leave it blank though, you know, and you could potentially get, hopefully you will get a lot of marks for that. That's that done, and that is that video complete. I hope you found that useful, and if you did, don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I shall see you in the next video.